Hello, statistics for behavioral science classes. I'm Professor Ken. You probably know that already. And I'm going to show you a quick little video on how to calculate variance and standard deviation. We taught it in class today, but just in case you need a little more support, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to begin by sharing my screen. And as you can see, we're in Excel. And we have some data here. It says miles from school. So this is some data about how many miles students live from school. So the first thing we want to calculate is the mean. All right, so I type in the word mean, that's my description. And now over here, I'm going to calculate the mean by hitting equals. Whoa, I was leaning on my keyboard, my bad. Okay, equals. And then I start typing the word average, and there it is right there, the second one. So I double click on average, and I drag through my data. Now, you may not know this. Here's a little trick I'm going to show you. You can also drag upwards. And if you have a large set of data, sometimes it's easier to start at the bottom and go up. Doesn't make a difference. Okay, so the mean distance from school is 50.8 miles. Now, we want to find out the average distance each data point lies from the mean. So for instance, if we just rounded this off to 50, this data point would be 35 from the mean. This data point would be 23. This data point would be 20. This data point would be 50 plus 68. This data point would only be 7. This would be 28. This would only be 1. And this would be 37. Okay, so I hope that makes some sense to you. So what we're going to do now, oh, by the way, I put the little X up there because X is the symbol we're going to use for each data point. So technically this would be X1, X2, X3, and so forth. So now we're going to calculate, oh, you know what? I think I like when, if we go over here where it's in the font, it says bottom border. If we click the choices, all borders. And that makes it a little easier for you to see. Okay, so now we're going to do X minus the mean. So what that means is that we're going to take each of these values and subtract 50.87. So some are going to be negative, some are going to be positive. So I'm going to start off by saying equals, and then I'm going to click on this box, minus, and I'm going to click on the mean. All right, now this is very important. We're going to be pasting this formula, and it automatically shifts each one down. So B10 on the next line would be B11, but we don't want that. We want it to anchor on B10. So to show that, to make sure that it anchors it, you have to put a $sign in front of the B, and you have to put a $sign in front of the 10. So now that's called an anchor. If we hit enter, there's our value. Now we could just paste these values right here. Boom! And there they are. We see some are positive and some are negative. Now, we're trying to find the average distance each data point lies from the mean. So distances can't be negative. So in order to account for that, we're going to square it. So now we're going to do X minus mean squared. So I put the little caret into, that's just a description. I didn't put in equals. So now I'm going to do my equals. So let's be careful. We're going to do equals. We're going to click on this box and we're going to do caret 2. That means it's the negative 35.875 squared. Hit enter. And there we have it. Now we can just, oh, I didn't say this earlier. See this little square there, right there? That's called, I'm getting kind of old. Anyway, we'll grab that square. It'll come to me later on. I'm sorry about that. And drag it down. And there we have it. It squared all our values. Okay. So now the next thing we need to do is add up those squared values. So I'm going to put sum. And over in this box, we're going to add them up. So this is really cool. See where it says auto sum? If we click there, it does it all for us. You could also write equal sum and do the drag, but so there's more than one way to do anything. But that's a quickie. Hit enter, and there we have it. Now we need to find out how many items there are. So that's called n. And over here, I'm going to type in equals count. Well, there it is. I'm going to double click on count. And I'm going to drag through. Look, remember I told you to go up or down? Doesn't matter. Handlebar, that's what it's called. This little square here is called a handlebar. All right, so there's 8 items. But when we're calculating the variance and the standard deviation, we want to put in a little cushion because our sample size is so small. So what we do is we divide, instead of dividing by n, which would make sense, we divide by n minus 1 to give us a little bigger cushion. That's what statisticians do. Got n minus 1. All right, so I go over here and I click in equals this value minus 1. All right, so now what we're going to do is the sum divided by n minus 1. So sum divided by n minus 1. So that's equal to our sum divided by, boom, n minus 1. There's our answer. Okay, now that's a big value. If we look over here, we see that the average distance that these lie from the mean is not 1,282. That's too big. So what we need, but that's called the variance. So it's the average distance squared. So let's type in the variance. And we see that it's equal to this amount. Now, if you want to do the variance formula, watch this. Just to check your answer. Equals. I think it's VA. Let's see. Estimates. Yes. So double click there. Drag through these data points. Ooh, that means we got the right answer. Thank goodness. All right. Now, if we take the square root of the variance, we get the standard deviation. So let's type in standard deviation. Equals SQRT. There it is, square root. So we'll double click on there. Just click on this value, close up parentheses. You don't even have to. And our standard deviation is 35.8. So we can see that the average distance that these points lie from 50 on the number line is 35.8. So if we were to take the absolute values of these and found the average, it would be about 35.8. All right, here's how we check our value. Standard deviation formula. And this is only to check our answer. It's not to not do the work. So, okay, if we do standard deviation A, right there, double click on these values because that's what we're trying to find the standard deviation of. Hit enter. Hey, we did it correctly. Now, if you want to decrease the number of decimal points, look up here. That increases them. This decreases them. Watch this. Woo, every click makes it a little smaller. All right, that's great. Now I'm going to show you the min and the max really quickly so that we can find the range, because that's also part of tonight's homework. I'm going to just highlight. Okay, so we have to find the max first. So equals max, double click. Drag through our data. Don't include the mean. That'll mess us up. Right, then we do the min. So we go over here, we do equals min. There it is. Double click, drag through our data. Boom. And then finally, we do the range. And the range is equal to the max minus the min. And there we have it. So our range is 103 miles. Okay. And then if you want to highlight your final answers, because these are the answers I'm going to check when I grade your homework. Don't use those formulas for the homework. So this would be your right answer. So I'm going to click right there. And this would be your right answer for standard deviation. So I'm going to click right there. And here's your range. Booyah. Okay, then finally, if we want to find the coefficient of variation, that is equal to the standard deviation divided by the mean up there. Okay, so we would say equals the standard deviation, which is right here, divided by the mean up here. Hit enter, and it gives us a decimal, but we want that as a percent. So we highlight that and we go over here to the little percent guy. Hit click and it's 70, but I like it to the nearest 10th of a percent. So I'm going to add a decimal place. So that's this one right here. And there we have it. So let's do a little highlight there. So our coefficient of variation is 70.4%. All right, I'm going to stop my share. And I think you're going to like this. I think it's going to help you very much. And I hope you enjoy it. Bye.